This is the Roots to Risk podcast, hosted by Eric Schneider alongside Isaac Bach. Roots to Risk brings you insights, the latest stories, and long-form discussions about the cannabis industry. You'll hear interviews with industry leaders and their perspective on current and future trends, how they've built success, and what challenges they have faced. Our goal is to facilitate candid conversations and provide informative content for the cannabis community at large. Let's go! Hey, Nick, how are we doing today? Thanks for joining us on the Roots to Risk podcast.
Absolutely, doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a great place to start would, if you can just provide some background on the organization and your background as well, how you got into the cannabis space, or just to love to learn a little bit more about Naturae and as well as yourself.
Yeah, sure. So Naturae has been around now since 2017. We're about to be 6 years old. And I guess I'll give a bit of background about myself first, and then get into the founding of Naturae. And I'll just be quick. I mean, we started Naturae right out of I was coming right out of college. I actually didn't finish the last semester there. With a couple of my colleagues and roommates from college, really focused on the non-psychoactive cannabinoid side of things. And it made sense for me because my family is like 4 generations of an agriculture family business, and we've been working in specialty agriculture forever. So just generally, that translated very easily because it's really, biological units that yield an X amount that are very sensitive and require specific climate and temperature. And then secondly, honestly, I've been a huge stoner since I was like 13 or 14, and I love cannabis. And so this seemed like an opportunity to get involved in the industry in one way or another. And we always thought, all right, if we get very good at extraction with CBD, at cultivation with CBD, with feminized hemp, it's going to be a training ground for whenever adult use recreational cannabis comes online in New York. I don't think we planned on it being or taking as long as it did and being as tough as it was, but that's really the story. I mean, we decided to apply for the New York CBD license, and we went fundraising for it. And we were able to get financing on a farm and on our extraction facility. And then it was 5 very tough years in the CBD space, really as wholesalers of oil, of distillate, CBD oil to other white labelers and other manufacturers. And then, of course, in 2022, when the conditional program was opened up, that all changed. But the foundation of the company was really a cultivator and extractor. And we've always focused more on the extraction side and been extractors at heart, and wholesaling of kilograms of oil. That was really the start of it.
That's awesome. I think, one of the things I wanted to ask you, just based off of, it sounds like you and your family's background is, what have you noticed is kind of some of the major differences between how like cannabis or hemp crops operate versus other ones? Is there much of a difference, or is it pretty uniform to how most other agricultural products, function from a growth perspective?
I would say there's a ton of parallels for specialty crops. It's certainly not there's a lot of differences with just standard row crops like corn and soy and et cetera. They're very different for sure, because they can't take all the same chemicals, and they're consumed and ingested differently and et cetera. But there are a ton of parallels between, let's say, like specialty dairy or strawberries as a crop, or tomatoes as a crop. And then and cannabis. I mean, they're incredibly similar.
Very cool. And so the operations today, Nicholas, are you guys now operating in either medical or recreational cannabis at Naturae?
Yeah, so that was then the part of the story that I didn't cover in with Naturae. So then in 2022, New York came out with this conditional program where all of the suffering that we had in hemp, just a quick number with hemp, it was we were selling distillate for $5,000 a kilo when the company started. And by the end, when we stopped CBD operations in February of 2022, we were selling it for $65 a kilo. Wow. So like a 99% drop there in the wholesale. And so we learned very quickly that what we really needed to do was if we had the opportunity to establish our own consumer brands, our own in-house brands, where we know pricing is going to compress, but that it'll compress a lot later. And when the conditional program opened, they said to be able to produce products and distribute them in New York in the adult use market, you have to have had 2 years participating in the hemp program that we had established. So it sort of allowed us a first mover advantage with our brand Jaunty, which is our distillate brand that we put out. And then we decided after a lot of conversations with different MSOs, with different out-of-state brands that wanted to do white label deals or licensing deals that we just weren't able to ever quite get to agreement, but generally always ended on good terms. We decided we wanted to launch a portfolio of extract-based products and just focus on extract-based products, not touch flower or pre-rolls or any of that category, because it's what we're good at, and also it's what we consume, all the management and all the owners in the company, and it's a very important market, and it's consistently growing. Most of the new consumers that are coming in are buying vapes, they're buying gummies. So we decided to go with that, and we launched Jaunty in January, which is a distillate brand, and then we launched Resonators, which is a hash and hash rosin brand, all under our in-house brands, and then finally Jumbo Dose. So when we got those to the market, it really changed the business from, okay, we can just put kilos of oil into a box, put a UPS label on it, and UPS will take it anywhere across the country, to now we have to manufacture our own lines of products. So scaled manufacturing was something that we had to get under our belt on most categories very quickly, like November, December of 2022. And then we have to distribute them to all the stores as well, and physically take them there. And we've had the time this year, thankfully. I mean, that's one of the positive spins that you can put on the slow rollout. For smaller companies, we've had the time to establish the infrastructure on both of those new businesses for the company as a whole.
Yeah, I guess that leads me to my next question, Nick, is like, how was that transition from, producing hemp CBD to the THC market? Were there any other nuances or, hoops to jump through in order to get operational, or because you had a lot of the existing infrastructure, it was a pretty seamless process?
There was some challenges. I would say somewhere in the middle of what you just said. Like we understood everything we needed to do for distillate production. Hash and solventless extraction has been something new, but we're killing it with it because we've had a lot of very experienced help. But with distillate, it was really changing the inputs. We had to, in the post-processing, be a lot more careful with our refining and purification process just in general, and have far stricter parameters, because with CBD, the purity of the distillate wasn't so important. So that's an equipment-based challenge that we had, was just getting distillate that was going to be 90% plus THC, because that's what the market needs. But we got that under our belt. And then the other thing was just a lot heavier compliance, for sure. But we brought on a quality manager early in 2022 for our at that point was going to be our third GMP audit. We've already been GMP for over 3 years. So he came on and he really established like a sustainable compliance and training model for the production. And with that, we've been able to handle the production challenges. But I will say it's a completely different world from the CBD days. Like, there was no careful inventory management in CBD, and every single gram wasn't counted. Like right now, every gram, any waste, everything is recorded through a track and trace system. So just challenges and things to get through, but nothing that was like, oh, we're, maybe what you were referring to, like, oh, we're going to have to invest 2.5 million in CapEx to make this work now. Nothing like that. Just adjustments, really.
What about headcount? Have you guys had to bring on, in addition to the compliance position that you brought on, just has the organization grown over the past year since,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in 2021 and 22, I was running all of the equipment. We had 5 of us who were just the managers and partners there, who were just running the facility ourselves to fulfill like split contracts for CBD and some white label tincture deals that we had. So it was just us 5 for a good 18 months, for a good period, even not taking pay. And now we're at 27 people working, and everybody's got wages that they're super happy with, which we're constantly working on trying to improve that. But yeah, so we've gone from like 5 people to 27 people.
Wow, that's awesome growth. Well, congratulations on that first and foremost. That's incredible.
Yeah, no, thanks, man. Yeah, it's challenging, but it's great to have the place filled and everything operating and everything cranking. It's really nice.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I think obviously you guys are going through some of the transitional phases now, but what else are you really excited about in the next 12 to 18 months? Obviously, getting stores open and things of that nature, but what's really getting you excited about the growth potential of the business?
Yeah, I mean, the you said the first thing, obviously, just having more stores and having people. I mean, just generally having accessibility, because we can't even talk about enforcement or the illegal market if we don't even have legal stores for people to go to. So definitely excited about that. Excited about the variety of licensees that we're gonna have, and the wholesale market that's likely gonna develop now that they've opened up licensing for additional processors, extractors. There's going to be some great white label facilities that show up in the state that are going to allow for better production, more consistent production. I guess just in our case, I'm super excited about our hash program and our solventless stuff. I mean, just last night I tried like 6 different flavors of hash that we're harvesting from the fields last week and this week. And I'm stoked because this year we really planned our genetics from the beginning. We trellised the field. We made sure that everything was just in perfect order. And then during harvest now we're actually trimming. We're using buckers to get the material out. So we're gonna have super high quality material coming from outdoor. And I'm just excited to sort of prove that with the extract based category, you can use outdoor raw material and provide products to the market that are close in price to the unlicensed market, without all the extensive overhead that's involved with growing indoor, right? So I'm very excited about the solventless stuff, and that'll be in the next couple of months that those flavors start getting released. We're going to be releasing them as cold cure and as fresh press as well, and as full melt, depending on the strain. So that's going to just really round out the concentrates portfolio for us. And I think the New York concentrates category in general is going to continue to become better and better. So I'm just excited about that. That's kind of my favorite product personally.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. I mean, there's a lot of, in more established markets, obviously than New York, the customer base has certain flavor and product profiles, I suppose. What have you guys noticed in New York? Like, what do you anticipate that being? And are there any products that you guys are thinking are going to be more successful than others, just based off of what you've done on the CBD side? Or is it going to be kind of a find out and tinker as you go?
I mean, so I guess on a category level, I could say it appears that New York is going to be closer to like a 50-50 split between extracts and flower. So starting there. And then another thing that I think will be different or exceptional about New York is that the demand for gummies is very high here. And I think just gummies by themselves, outside of even edibles, just gummies as a category is going to be, or let's just say edibles as a category is going to be a way more important category than it is in any other state, just because of the amount of tourists that there are and just new consumers, new people going into cannabis that just never considered smoking anything in their lives. Like they just wouldn't smoke a vape, they wouldn't smoke anything, and so they go right away to a pack of gummies. So I think that's the one thing I could say is exceptional. And then that New York's flower is going to improve dramatically right now with these new licenses that are going to come out, and that are going to allow for indoor growing. So by this time next year, you're going to see, in my opinion, comparable flower to what's in California, because most of those facilities are going to be built out by guys from California anyway.
Yeah, we have a client that they brought in expertise from California into an hemp operation for that exact reason. So that's funny you say that.
Yeah, I mean, in our case, even we have Alex Cupamil. He's been extracting since like 2003, and he was like in the High Times 100 most influential people in cannabis. He has a brand called Critical Concentrates. It's a legacy to legal brand in California. And we license it. We're working with him. He's been consulting in our solventless program and setting everything up and helping us with genetics. And we got along so well that at some point we were like, why would we even make a house brand for this? You have a brand. It's got your soul in it. This is a concentrates brand. Let's just bring your brand on. So we have one SKU of Critical Concentrates out right now, Pineapple Haze. And it actually won the Excelsior Cup in New York, got first place for concentrates, which was cool. But yeah, he's from California, and I mean, he's got 15 years of experience, in the last 8 of those with solventless. Before that, it's been hydrocarbon. So he really, really knows his stuff. And I don't think we'd be able to bring this level of product that we're going to bring this season if we didn't have him on board,
That's amazing. And one question that I had is, there's obviously the argument about outdoor versus indoor flower. Does that have the same, I would say, differentiation with extraction as well? Like extracted products, if the flower is grown outdoor or indoor, like does it have as much of a material difference?
Certainly not with distillate. Like that, I can tell you hands down, you will just find absolutely no difference. And with rosin, with solventless products, and with some hydrocarbon products, actually, let's even leave hydrocarbon out of there. Just in solventless, you could find. I mean, you have to work really hard to do it outdoors. So I guess what I would argue is you can achieve the same quality with solventless extract based products outdoor. You can't really do that with smokable flower, right? You can do it if you work very hard. With the other extraction types, absolutely no difference. I mean, you can get the same exact quality from indoor or outdoor. So it just doesn't make sense as an extractor, as an extract-based company, to invest in all of the overhead to run, an indoor grow that's also has the scale to supply your extraction demand.
Makes a lot of sense. And for you guys, like obviously where the New York market is right now, hopefully fingers crossed is going to look very, very different in 2024. How are you guys gearing up for that? And I'm sure it's so challenging to kind of predict what demand is going to look like, given, there really isn't a ton right now, but there could be a lot more in the coming months. How do you guys prepare for best case / worst case scenarios, and wanted to just have a better understanding of that?
Yeah, I mean, if we had a crystal ball, that would be great. But that's one of the biggest challenges, what you're talking about. Just and especially because we've had such a roller coaster here, it hasn't just been steadily, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Even if we knew, okay, it's 3 stores per month, we'll count on that. But essentially, we know that we have to switch our plan pretty often. Like right now, we've changed our minds as to what December is going to look like a solid 3 or 4 times since August, because of the injunction situation. However, when whatever that conclusion is, then the number of stores that we say we think based on that day's regulatory environment are going to open, then we just use our historical average sales per store per month. And we say, okay, minimally, we have to have that in inventory and production for next month. If we assume these stores are opening, let's assume that those stores, even if we know for a fact, okay, this is a store in Potsdam, it's not going to do our average because it's not going to be the same as a store in Manhattan. We still just sort of conservatively, for production's sake, conservatively take the approach that all of these stores will at least sell that average. And we produce that, and then, for example, we'll get caught with our hands down, with our pants down a little bit occasionally, because there'll be an injunction suddenly, and none of those stores are going to open. So then inventory will build up, and we'll have to stop production, focus a little bit on R&D, work on more flavors for our gummies, for example, so that we can just have those ready to go whenever it's time. But it's this constant back and forth between what sales thinks is going to happen and what really happens, and what production can forecast or not. I mean, it's pretty tough for sure.
It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I'm sure it's quite challenging, obviously, to forecast, and to your point, right? Like, not every store is going to be doing remotely the same volume. I think that there's going to be a lot of the variance, yes, that's the word, is going to be pretty incredible, right? Like, you look at like a small operator in Potsdam, New York versus like Union Square Travel Agency in New York City, is going to be very different. So, but no, it's been great to, is there anything else, Nick, that we didn't touch on that, we should know about, Naturae and our viewers should know about?
No, I mean, I think that covers it. Just that we're focused on providing super high quality extract based products as close as we can in price to the unlicensed market. That's the pitch.
Love it. And just to wrap things up here, Nick, we're gonna just ask you a few fun questions, not cannabis or business related. Going to turn it over to Isaac, and then we'll wrap things up and get you back upon your day.
Yeah, so Nick, I know you mentioned you have some little kids. So when you need a song to get you going for either early morning workout, just get you through the day, or before a meeting, what's at the top of the playlist for you?
It changes often, but lately it's been that song called Edamame.
Okay.
That song's great. I'll
I gotta
listen
check
to
it
that
out.
song to get me going in the morning for sure.
I love it. Next one is there a book that you've maybe read once or a few times that you turn back to or pull pieces of for advice that you think would be valuable for people to look into?
Yeah. Actually, there's a book called "Who Moved My Cheese" by Dr. Spencer Johnson. It's super short. It's literally like a 40-minute read, so it's a very easy one to even like hand out to team members and to people in your organizations. But yeah, "Who Moved My Cheese" is great. I mean, it really helps with organization and scaling of people in your company and understanding different profiles and et cetera. I think it's awesome.
Love that. Yeah, I think that's definitely something a lot of people could probably benefit from looking at. And then, finally, I know, backstage, we talked about a few of the various places we've lived, but, do you have an all time favorite restaurant you've been to that, if people are in a certain area, highly recommend people check out?
Oh, that's a good one. An all-time favorite restaurant.
Or a go to.
Yeah. I guess in New York City, my favorite pizza in New York City is in a place called Pizzarte.
Mm.
Interesting.
It's
Haven't heard of that one.
pizza and then Arte. So Pizzarte.
Interesting. Damn.
I'm
When
not-
I come back to the city next, I need to check that out.
I know.
Yeah, it's awesome. They make like classic Neapolitan pizzas. They're really good there.
I love that. Well, awesome, Nick. Really appreciate your time. E, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think it's always great, and for me selfishly, and for us being in New York, it's always great to catch up with a New York operator and learn more about your operations and what you're most excited about for the next 12 months. So just really appreciate the time, Nick, and good luck with everything. Obviously, in the coming months as the rollout happens, I'm sure it's going to be pretty chaotic, but hopefully it's good chaos.
Yeah, hopefully we make it to the other side. No, absolutely. Thank you guys for the time. This was super fun. Thank you.
All right, another one in the books, IB. What were your thoughts?
Definitely very informative. I think his explanation of what it's like going through the transition from the CBD and hemp market to what they're doing now on the THC and you know cannabis touching side is extremely interesting. And what he talks about from the New York marketplace in general was super informative.
Yeah, and I know you know a lot more about this than I do with your master's in cannabis science and therapeutics. But I thought it was really, really interesting to hear the differences in the products that they're manufacturing and also the impact of indoor versus outdoor. Um, Obviously, we're a part of the industry, but don't know the nitty gritty as much as those guys. And I thought he did a really good job of explaining all of that in a very easy
You
to
mean
understand
dumbing it
manner.
down?
Yes, for me specifically. Yes, maybe not for everybody listening, but I appreciated it.
No, I agree with you. You did a really good job of explaining that, and it is always interesting to hear like the how big of a difference indoor versus outdoor is when it comes to certain aspects of the product side. So definitely helpful for him to provide that context.
Yeah, next time I'm at a New York dispensary, I'm going to look up some of those products and try them out, and excited to see what's on the docket for Naturae moving forward into 2024.
Absolutely, man, and looking forward to the next one of these.
Absolutely, brother.
You
Have a
too.
great day.